My minty one is on my nightstand.
I didn't know it was meant for the
Yeah, that's the one that my mom made me.
migraine. Yeah, I gotta get my. I asked her about one for me, and I
Oh, it
wasn't
smells
sure.
good. It smells so good. Okay, what are we talking about today?
Um, I'm glad you asked. Today we're going to be talking about say what you mean and mean what you say, because so many people, especially in instant rage society, we tend to blurt out like the first things that come to our mind without a thought. Like there's no process there. I have nothing. I don't understand. But yeah. So
Yeah, it's a problem. It's very reactionary. Everything is just, this is what I feel right now, so I'm just gonna verbalize it
but that's not
and
even the thing is
react.
that's how you feel in the moment. That's not even how you feel overall.
Yeah, this is how I
So
feel right now about this right here in front of me, so I'm gonna act on it right now.
yeah. Like there was okay, so even when talking about like the perfect example of this would be the Jesse Smollett thing, right?
Hmm.
So everybody was instantly like, "Oh my gosh, justice for Jesse" and all that kind of stuff, and and he's coming out. I'm the gay Tupac, and blah 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 blah. And people didn't sit back as a whole. There were some people who were like, "Something ain't right," but but like as a whole, we weren't paying attention. Like, okay, some of these things don't make sense.
Hmm.
And then it's like every day there was something new that came out, and people were instant reaction, instant everything, and just
Instead of looking at the whole picture, it's taken. And part of it is the problem of the news cycle is that everything is presented like, okay, this is fact right here, right now. This is what we know. This is what you have to go off of, and so everybody reacts to that. And then as more information, they trickle information out,
mhm.
and so people just continuously just react to whatever is happening. And meanwhile, mostly forgetting about what they read about or saw like the day before or an hour ago.
Right. There because in some of the news cycles have well, they haven't come out talking about themselves, but there have been different reporters, different journalists who come out and said that, especially in today in the world of social media,
Mhm.
it's always to be first, not to be right.
Right.
And so it's just like when you have that mentality of being first all the time without checking the facts and taking
Hmm.
time to go back and say, okay, well, it's more important that I have all the facts of my case together,
Hmm.
as opposed to being in a situation where you're just like, okay, I gotta backtrack. Okay, I gotta apologize. Okay, I have to
Or
retract this and I have to
article
say this.
updated.
Right. Like that's it. Well, this is not really what happened. This is the full story. And then you get the story like months later of
Hmm.
this is actually what happened.
Right.
Of what but it's I I have a problem with it, and I'm trying and I'm working on it.
Hmm.
Is because I've taken the approach of not if I don't, especially if it's not a popular opinion,
Hmm.
I stay quiet.
Hmm.
If I don't have all the facts together, I stay quiet.
Hmm.
I just like to I just stay quiet because I don't want to jump out there and make a rash, because your voice is your decision,
Hmm.
and you can't for some reason people think if you say Black Lives Matter you automatically hate other groups.
Right.
And so there's no way in any world that you can have both.
Yeah, there's no in between, and that's a problem. I don't know if I'm just noticing it more as I get older, or if it's literally a problem that's becoming more prevalent. But just people with that binary worldview where it's black and white. There's no in between. There's no gray area or anything. And so,
Mhm.
like, if you're pro-choice or something, then obviously, oh, you want all babies to be dead, you want all this stuff, you want, you're just this raging liberal, as they say.
Right.
Or if you support one thing from a conservative opinion or something, then people assume, oh, he voted for Trump, hates black people, hates Hispanics, hates everybody, wants the wall built, wants children in cages, all this stuff. And so there's like no nuance. And this is something we talked about. No, we haven't talked. We've talked about it like in personal conversations and stuff, but just that idea of, or that problem that there is very little critical thinking that happens. And
Yes.
I don't know where it's taking place, but that plays a huge role in, I don't know where that deficit comes into play. I have some ideas, but that's a huge problem that plays into why people react so fast to things and forget about things so quickly and just don't look at the full picture. Because
Right.
like you said, like I'll keep quiet on stuff, even if I have a very strong opinion about it, even if it is the quote unquote popular opinion, I'll keep quiet on stuff and I'll just observe. And that's honestly one of my faults, is that I watch stuff and I reserve my opinion a lot, but it's because I'm taking in as much information as possible before I verbalize what I want to say.
Right.
Yeah,
Well,
but I wish more people were like that, or just an ounce of it. But hey,
just observe a little bit more. But
just an eighth of a teaspoon.
Just a smidge.
Just an eighth.
Just a smidge.
Didn't even know you can go that small.
Well, thank you all for tuning in. This is an episode of Take Up Space Podcast. I am your host, Leah, and I'm here with my good friend, Jason.
That's me clapping for myself. I'm doing the ASL applause. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Is it weird that that's the sound that's like how it, like if you say,
Like everybody understands that that's how it sounds when a bunch of people are cheering.
yeah,
Like
but
it's
it
like
doesn't sound like that when
sound.
you're in the room and there's a bunch of people cheering. It's just like, oh wow, it's like a whole lot of people. But critical thinking is the absolute key. And a lot of people try to say, well, I'm a free thinker, or, I don't want to be told what to think or how to say or things like that.
I speak my mind. I say what's on my mind.
Yeah, but a lot of times there's so many what I say out loud is that you are not in my head, and I'm not saying everything of how the different wires are connected to things. And so I cannot make the assumption that you will understand what I'm saying, because even though we have similar lifestyles and because we have similar backgrounds, or because we've known each other for a long time, you may understand where I'm coming from, but that doesn't mean you know how I made the connection from A to Z.
Right, because they don't have the same context. There's like, even prime example, twin brother, and we have very different perceptions of how things go across and stuff. And sometimes I'll have to explain. We can watch the exact same TV show at the exact same moment, and I'll have to explain how I put one idea together, or how I got from point A to point B, and he'll explain how he got to from point A to point B, and it'll be completely different because we have same experiences, but we have completely different perceptions of those experiences. We have different worldviews. We have different, just the context is completely different. And I think a lot of people, when they're communicating, they miss out on that. They don't understand that people bring their own worldviews and they have their own baggage, even if it can be the same brand of baggage, but the baggage is going to contain different things.
Yes.
The luggage is going to have different stuff in there. And so you have to kind of empathize with your audience and kind of understand where they're coming from, so you can meet them halfway and be like, okay, this is why I got to this point, or this is why I think this. This is why I believe this. And I think a lot of people are missing that.
And it would help, and I think most of the time it's having to do with debate, but there are ranges, right? So we talk about there's this arbitrary ideal that everybody has. You're either in or out, yes or no.
Mhm.
This is what you have. There is no gray space.
Mhm.
However, we have different values. Some people value life. Some people value, like for instance, we both have dogs, right? And the way we value our dogs are very different based on the environment that you grew up in. There are some households where their dogs never come inside the house. There are households where the dogs like sleep in the same bed with the owner, right? Or the dogs are not considered, their dogs are then considered children, as part of the family. And so there's different levels. So while I definitely value my dog, I appreciate my dog, I have a good relationship with him, but he is not my child.
Right.
I do not treat him as my child. And just because I have a dog doesn't mean that I love all dogs. And so that range, the Chihuahua.
No, I don't do Chihuahuas.
But
no,
that range is there for everyone. So while we can say we value different things, or we are in different spaces, I think that part of critical thinking that says, okay, even though this person says that they love ice cream, that doesn't mean that that is their top dessert. Right. So it's like, so we have to keep in mind that when we have conversations with other people, that just because we want to be reactionary to it, you say you don't love, like one person, oh my gosh, in college, this kid, and I call him a kid because I think I was 22, 23 at the time.
Was the one in fact state?
Yeah. And he was like 19. Okay. And I
know who you're talking. I know who you're talking about. I think.
Okay. I don't think. Well, maybe I can't remember if you met him or not. But we were the only two Black people on the debate team, and we're all packing up, and but we just finished a round and we're in front of the class, and so we're just getting our stuff out. And he says something, and I said, well, I don't really like watermelon. I don't even know what was asked. And I was like, no, I don't care for watermelon. Watermelon is not a thing. Oh, so you're gonna tell me you don't like chicken? And I was like, okay. So listen, I got so hot. I had to call my brother and was like, I need you to calm me down because I'm about to go off on this minute. Like,
talk me down. I'm about to go to jail. Talk me down.
Oh, he's about to lose his life. I don't understand.
Talk me out. Is it worth it?
Right? Like, why would you? Okay, first of all, we're a mixed company. Okay, let's start there. We're in a mixed company. We're the only two Black people, and you want to deny my Blackness because you have some arbitrary checklist that needs to be completed to say that I'm Black.
Yes.
Even though, and the crazy thing is, so we both grew up in, like you and I, we grew up in very diverse neighborhoods, right?
Right.
And but he grew up in an area in California called Grass Valley, where there's
I can think of that. I mean, I can imagine.
Yeah. So he was the only family. His family was the only family. And it's just like, okay, I don't know who you've been hanging around or who you talked to think that this was cool. But no, we're not doing this. I had to actually pull my coach aside and was just like, don't pair me with him ever. Don't do that. I can't. But people are so quick to just think that it's okay to say these things. It's okay to do. Like, let's look at the audience. Let's check and see what our surroundings are.
Yeah, and I know this phrase is overused like over the last 2 weeks, but read the room.
Right. Oh, it is so necessary. It is so necessary.
Said with the look, actually. Like, he could have said that with the look. Like, oh, really? Like,
right, because the question, and if I'm not mistaken, I believe no. I think they either had watermelon or they were offering it to us, and I was just like, I don't care for watermelon. And he made it like a big thing, and it's just like, as a black person, like literally, he said, like, telling me you don't like chicken either, huh? You don't do blah blah blah. And I was like, look at here, Chicken George. What are you? What? Look. We not doing this. We are not doing this. We can't. We can't because I gotta no. And it was just like it was a whole thing. But I was just that's one of the examples that I always bring up. Just like, make sure you read the room, make sure you know who you're talking to, who you're talking around, and if you're going to say something, make it worthwhile. Don't just say something because you have to open your mouth and talk.
Right. Just saying it for the sake of saying it. Like, there's stuff even on Twitter that I'll come across, and like, it's specifically written for certain audiences, clearly. And then I'll read it, I'll be like, I'll have an extremely strong reaction to it. And I'm like the first thing I think is just, this is not my business. This doesn't have anything to do with me. And I'll just scroll by. Like, this isn't my business. Like, right? Like, that's one of those things where he could have even said, oh, okay, we'll have a talk later on to you, and could have done something like that, even if you never talked to him again. But like, to just blurt that out, not knowing who you are, not knowing what your background is, not knowing who these people around are, it's like, come on, dude. Come on.
No, I think you put it perfectly. Like, you don't, especially social media.
You could be allergic to watermelon for all you know.
That's true. I could be. I just don't care for it. It tastes like water. Like, it tastes just like sweet water, and I might as well just drink a glass of cold water. But
disagree, but okay.
Now, if it's a hot day, we're at a picnic and there's no more water, I'm not turning it down. But I'd rather just have a bottle of water. But being able to read something or see something on social media, and especially if it's a troll, because they're everywhere.
And it's so clear and it's so obvious now. They don't even try to hide it, because it takes such extreme views at this point that they'll literally just make it easy for you to click on that report account button or report tweet button or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, the people who just randomly go in just saying all lives matter and stuff, for the people who want to drop racial slurs and stuff.
Right.
Black account, black, report, black. It's easy.
Just being able to be like, this is none of my business. Let me go ahead and report this account.
Like, strokes out of me. You're not getting a tweet out of me. You're not getting that exposure.
No. Why do I need to engage with you? You don't need the engagement.
No.
And
I'm drawing attention to this.
Yeah, no. But I think that in one of my friends always tells me, energy follows intention. And if you are more, because I more than ever, oh my gosh. And I don't know if I'm becoming more aware of it, like you said, because like I'm older now, more like learning to become more self-aware, or if it's always been like this, but I think it's always been like this, and I'm just becoming more aware of it.
Yeah.
People are so like, and when I say unstable, I don't mean crazy in a dismissive sense. I mean unstable in that this second they strongly believe XYZ. The next minute, with hearing someone else say, well, not exactly. They're like, oh, did I believe 100% the other way? It's like a whole 180. And without really, and so but then they just become so unstable that when they say things, I can't take them seriously.
Yeah, because they contradict themselves constantly if they're completely changing, going from one extreme to the other.
Right.
It's like, how am I supposed to react to this? How am I supposed to take you seriously if at the snap of a finger or drop of a hat or whatever you want to say, you're just going to flip up on me?
Right. And it's not even that they read like, and I can't. People always cite taglines and not articles. because they can read a tagline that says, "Oh, it was actually this," but in the article they explain the nuance in it, and people are not really, listening or looking for nuance, and
That's by design too.
right, and it's just like that. That creates the divisive nature that everybody is experiencing, where you're either in or out, yes or
Yeah,
no, you're this or that,
everybody
and
just
so
walking around with opinions based on headlines.
right. And it's just like, because even with the protests, it's always looters, rioters, and protesters, or rioters, looters, and protesters. It's never, the protests that we're seeing were the protests, the attention was taken up by some other people who
Yeah,
were
outside
basically
people
blah, blah.
who
No, no,
took
no,
it.
no,
No,
no.
there's
Lump them
no
all together.
nuance.
And just like, but that creates what's the barrier called? It creates like a distance, so that you're so far removed, so that if anything happened to them, you could talk about them as if they are not human,
Right.
or if they are not people who are hurting. And it's just like, it blows me that there's just so many people out there who can't sit down to have a conversation. And when I had to read article, like I read so many articles where, or posts, or tweets, or Instagram messages, Facebook messages. I mean, not as much because I'm not on Facebook that much, but having to read all those people trying to explain what Black Lives Matter is. And then you have people like Terry Crews talking about Black supremacy. I'm just like,
Yeah, and I don't know if you
how? How
saw
did you
what
get that
she
out
did
of that?
today.
Where did you? Look, I'm like the math teacher. Show your work so I can see where you went dumb. What happened?
Because thinking follows, even if people don't think that they're following a path to how they got to an opinion, there is a path to it. Like you saw something and then it went through this filter, whatever filters you have,
Right.
and then, or lenses that you have, and then it brought you to this really crappy opinion. And so you need to show me how you got there so I can tell you where you took a wrong turn and flew off the ledge.
Right. Because
I don't know.
even the thing is, as
Yeah.
a debater, my goal is not to change your opinion.
Right.
My goal is to make sure that you have the correct facts, and make sure that from the facts, from the information that is put out there that is fact, you are coming up with an informed opinion. But when people make assumptions, like, oh, they're rioting because they're, I don't know, there's been so many excuses, and I'm just like, you got to think about it. It's a pandemic. People have been home. People have been laid off of work. Jobs are not coming in. People are about to get evicted. Even though there was like a little reprieve for
Yeah,
eviction,
3 month reprieve on evictions.
able to file for evictions.
Yeah.
So there are landlords who are in court right now, or not in court physically, but they are still filing paperwork that as soon as the eviction stay of execution is lifted, they can go ahead and get these people out.
I
And
think they
so,
said that something like 50,000 people were facing eviction in New York once the moratorium is up.
and it's crazy. So now not only are we having a health pandemic, we're also having a racial humanitarian pandemic, and then we're also going to have a homelessness pandemic. So, and this is all exposing the the systems that have been put in place that were based on people's ability to just keep being the cogs in the machine, and all these quote unquote free thinkers that are trying to get back to reality or get back to normal. And it's like, we can say we want to get back to normal, but just because it was normal doesn't mean it was good.
Yeah, and we're not going back to the way it was before, because there's no way that that's going to happen. There's been too much that's happened over these last, just even over the past month, really. If you think about
So
it,
much.
just over this last month, there's been too much that's been exposed, and too many people are reacting to it and actually are caring about it at this point, that things are not going to go back to business as usual, at least from what we business like we're used to from before we went into quarantine and
2019.
everything.
We're not going back. We can't even go back in 2019.
We're not even going back to February at this
No,
point.
it's not gonna happen. There's no way it can't go back. And so the only thing that we can do is progress forward. But I
Right.
really want us to progress forward in a way that is going to be beneficial, because I'm tired of these empty gestures.
I don't know if you saw. I have two things actually that I wrote down because I have the memory of a penny. Um, so okay, the first thing was false dichotomy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's one of those things that's really, even when I'm working with my looking at my students' essays, that's really one of the biggest logical fallacies that I continuously go back to. And if anybody's not familiar with the term, false dichotomy is basically that black and white thing, like we were talking about, where you're creating this sense that there is either one or black or white, like there's one way or the other, like there's no in between, a gray area, when in reality there is a lot of gray area that you should have to explain.
Right.
What I've noticed with my students, at least, and I think it's more so the younger students, probably the students that are probably around like 23 years old at the most,
Mm-hmm.
they have that all or nothing mindset. And so one of the things that I plan on researching more at some point is whether that's an age thing, like people, like their brain pattern just automatically cling on to, okay, this is my opinion, so this is the only way. And if nobody agrees with this, then they're obviously on the other side of me. And so we have to fight to the death. I want to figure out whether that's an age thing or if it's something that comes back down to the education system not really teaching critical thinking. Because I think that it's more so the education system, personally. No, I was talking about that with Jordan, my brother. The yesterday, day before yesterday, time is a construct, so things don't matter. Time doesn't matter.
No, I'm just telling you.
It was daytime when I talked to him about it.
I equate things to it was 3 yesterdays ago.
It was
Yeah.
a daytime when we talked about it.
Oh, okay.
But I was talking about like I want to. Oh yeah, because it was during the after Alicia Keys' performance at the BET Awards on Sunday.
Oh, okay.
And I was talking about how like I can't wrap my head around the fact that when we grew up, we were really critical thinkers. Like we looked at every single angle. And I'm not sure if it goes back to like an empathy thing or whether it's because my family is very observant and we look at every single angle and we talk about every angle.
Mm-hmm.
And we always play devil's advocate with each other and try to imagine how other people react to stuff.
Right.
But like just going through the Instagram or Facebook comments and stuff, not Facebook, Twitter. I'm sorry, I don't read Facebook. Going through the Twitter comments, and like the reaction to Alicia Keys' new song, "Perfect Way to Die," and people just heard, oh, she said the being shot by the police is a perfect way to die. I'm like, do you guys really think that this black woman would release a song in 2020 saying that basically like, oh, great, black men are being shot today?
Right.
And think, like, take it at face value?
Because doesn't she's not only married to a black man, she has sons, right?
She has black sons. She has black stepchildren.
Okay, I was like, wait a minute, what?
But it's like, I'm not sure if people just aren't paying attention to literary devices, or if people don't understand literary devices, or people just aren't thinking about like the rest of the, like, this is just an example, but just like the lyrics of the song and the social, the exigence of why this song was created at this point, why it's in this moment, it's necessary. But again, I just logged off. I said some things that I shouldn't have said, not to the people. I just tweeted in general, but I logged off. I was like, okay, I'm not doing this. I'm going to step away for a minute, for a few hours, because it's for me, it was an example of the same frustrations that I have in the classroom with trying to get students to understand that you have to think deeper if you want people to take you seriously, because otherwise somebody's just going to come in and punch holes all in your
Oh yeah.
argument.
Oh yes.
Nobody wants to do
I
that. You want to maintain credibility and authority as the writer or as the speaker.
mm, and people don't think that's important because as long as my friends agree with me, but then
Echo
all
chamber.
y'all look dumb together. Okay. One of the the reason why I learned about false dichotomies are because the reason why I learned about false dichotomies is because I wrote an English paper for college. And one of the statements was there's like the false dichotomy that I created was there are Christians and non-Christians, and that's it.
Wait, whose class was it?
This was the funny thing is I don't remember her name. She was an older white woman, and she was the one who was this is the only thing I remember about her. She had me do the research while I was in debate over false dichotomies, and she was married for 17 years and got a divorce, and now she was happy with her cat. That was like 2008, I think I took her class.
Good for her.
Yeah. That's the only
Good
thing
for
I
her.
remember about her. I don't remember her name or anything. But she said, "Is this true? There are only Christians and non-Christians." And I was like, "Yeah, because either you're a Christian or you're a non-Christian. And if you're a non-Christian, obviously you're not a Christian. And if you're a Christian, you're a Christian." And she was like,
Playing semantics is not wrong.
So she was just like, no, you're in debate. And I was like, listen, okay, first of all, I did not ask for this. Okay. First of all, it's only my second week. This is my second week of school. And I had started debate, I think like 2 weeks after that. And so after I learned about false dichotomies, I was like, oh, these all or nothing arguments. Got it. Okay. And it made me go back and like, okay, so it is true there are Christians and non-Christians in this world, but to say that that's the only religion has a false sense of supremacy, which like creates exclusion for other groups who deserve to be identified as well. So whether you're spiritual, Muslim, Hindu, agnostic, or whatever the case may be, it's like you all deserve, like they all deserve recognition.
Right. Good for you.
Yeah, that was my first semester in college. She was just like, I'm sorry, what?
No, it was just
Are you sure about this? Are you sure? So I think critical thinking is definitely taught. And it has to be fed regularly. Otherwise, especially in social media, you fall into this whole where you are constantly agreeing with yourself in an echo chamber.
And looking for validation for those opinions instead of looking for a conversation or looking for a back and forth. Sometimes I'll look for that. Like I'll actively look for people on my timeline that I know will disagree with me, and I'll start a conversation with them.
Right. I like to hear people tell me why I'm wrong. Don't attack me, attack my argument. Tell me why I'm wrong. What facts? This is what I think. These are the facts of what I believe. Tell me why I am how did I, and even after we have a conversation, about the facts, because everybody on social media has a doctorate in everything. Everybody on social media is an expert in everything. But there was a time where you didn't know what you knew. And early, like when I first started debate, I had to learn that just because I knew things, like, and a lot of things, it was just because like I just read a lot. I read a lot of books. And so when people were like just finding out about Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I was like, why don't you know about that? And one of my teachers, Miss Hodge, she was like, well, when did you know about it? I said 2 years ago. She said, okay, imagine what happened 3 years ago if somebody were to say that to you. And I was like, Miss Hodge, Listen.
How dare you make me empathize?
Right. And
How
so,
dare you?
her. But she actually, but like her classes actually set me up for great success in college, and I
Yeah,
appreciate her. But
she
having
was
those
the.
conversations and just
Yeah.
like, huh?
Oh no, go ahead.
Having those conversations are really important because when you are stuck with listening when you're stuck with listening to others, I mean, not stuck with listening to others, but when you intentionally seek
Yeah.
others who are different from you, it is so much easier to it's easier to stand on your opinions once you have them challenged.
Right. For the record, we're not advocating you to go talk to your most extreme,
No.
most extremist family member or friend or anybody just like on Twitter. Don't go pick fights or anything. Look for people that you already know how to communicate and people that you know are open to having a civil and engaging discussion. Don't do harm unto yourself by trying to change the opinions or trying to understand the opinions of extremists because you will only annoy yourself and frustrate yourself. And we need you guys to not be frustrated so that you can be wrinkle free and stuff like that.
Yeah, because that's let's not start any unwarranted fights. Let's start there.
It's not worth it
Yeah. No,
unless you're already friends with the person and it's an ongoing back and forth. Leah.
and then you have to wonder why you're friends. Like, where does this
Yeah.
friendship stem from?
If you don't wonder why you're friends with somebody at least twice a week, then you guys aren't really friends.
Oh wow, that's how often you wonder. Wow, I don't.
In a
I'm
good
not
way. It's that
touched,
you guys continue with each other.
but
Like yesterday when I thought you hung up on me because I was making fun of you for getting lumpia, but your phone actually died.
yeah, yeah. I'm glad that I was able to recover from that. Yes, yes.
I
Have
wanted
it
to
charged at all times.
I did want to say one other thing. The other thing that I wrote down was about the Terry Crews stuff, with the fixation on the opinion or I don't know if you saw what happened today, but now he's doing this whole thing where he's saying that, oh, people are trying to silence me because I have an opinion that's different from theirs.
Yeah,
And so he's fixating on this idea that people are telling him that he needs to be quiet and not really focusing on the point that people are saying you need to be quiet so you can hear what people are trying to tell you and so that you can understand where you're misguided or where you're misinformed. And so that's another barrier in like communication in general, getting fixated on one thing and hearing what you want to hear or creating
right,
what you want to hear
right.
instead of taking in information and then growing from it.
That's such a I want to say egotistical thing to do. To maybe egotistical is not the word, but that's the word that I want to use. And to take one part and say that this part of the sentence is attacking me, so I'm only going to focus on this part of the attack. And it's like, no, we asked you to be quiet so that you can listen, to
Mm-hmm.
educate yourself. But
And
you're
to
just
save your
hearing the
career, save
silent
yourself.
part of just like, oh, I need to be quiet. I'm not going to be quiet. I don't need to. Come on, man.
Yeah.
That's what happens in communication, and that's why it's important, especially when you are learning to take up space, when you are learning to be more self-aware, when you are learning um, to be seen as more credible, that
Mm-hmm.
you have to create a space for communal conversation
Mm-hmm.
where everybody feels free enough and safe enough to bring their own opinions
Mm-hmm.
and have them challenged, not to attack a person, but to listen to the argument, find the reasoning, and work from there. So it's really important to be intentional about your words. It's important to be
Right.
intentional about who you surround yourself with, who you speak with, and who you align yourself with.
Mm-hmm.
That's really important, especially in today's world.
Yeah. You gotta look for things that are gonna grow you, and yes, I say grow you like you grow a plant, but yeah, things that will grow you, not things that will help you grow, but things that will force you to do better and to think better and be better or
Right.
think differently. Not even to change who you are or anything, but just to see different worldviews so that you can grow. Because even if you're not actively trying to change someone's opinion on something, if you guys differ in opinion, then just being exposed to you will help them see things differently and help them put a face to something or help them understand something better.
Yes. That's so true. Well, thank you so much, Jason. I appreciate you.
You're welcome. You're
Thank
welcome.
you all for listening. Please make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Take Up Space Pod. That's Take Up Space POD on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. If you would like to engage Jason on Twitter,
Twitter, Instagram, those are my big ones.
and
JJ underdash underscore underscore. We did this last time. It's
yeah.
JJ underscore Newberry.
I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have a great day. Make sure you let us know how you're taking up space in your environments. Bye.
Bye.